Now, joining us now for Word Brief and the review of some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Adefemi Akminsanya. Good morning, Adefemi.
Good morning, Dr. Reuben. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning, Ayo. And good morning, Rufai. Good morning to you viewers. Let me tell you what's happening around the world. Now, in the Portuguese capital, the mayor of Lisbon has declared 3 days of mourning after at least 15 people were killed and 18 others injured after Lisbon's world-famous Gloria Funchal cable railway derailed and hit a building. Now, the cause of the crash, which happened at around 6:15 p.m. on Wednesday evening, has not yet been publicly shared. But eyewitnesses do say that they saw the tram, which was at full capacity, which is at least 43 people inside the carriage, hit a building as it tumbled down a very steep hill at full speed. We also know that emergency workers and forensic teams have continued to come through the scene across the night. The Floria Funicular is a very popular site with tourists, and it is believed that foreign nationals are unfortunately among the people who were affected by this unfortunate incident. Now, the Portuguese government have also declared Thursday a day of national mourning. Now, staying in mainland, well, actually not actually mainland Europe. Let's go over to the United Kingdom. And Deputy Prime Minister...
Europe, right?
Northern Europe, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's not considered mainland Europe.
Yeah, it's Northern Europe.
Yes. So the United Kingdom Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, she is fighting for her political life after admitting she underpaid stamp duty, which is a property tax, when she bought her £800,000 flat in Hove, which is a southern English resort town close to Brighton. Now, Rayner says that she was advised by lawyers to pay £30,000 in stamp duty, but she should have actually paid £70,000. Now, as a result, she has submitted her situation to the Independent Ethics Board for investigation. Now, Rayner, who's also, ironically, the UK Housing Minister, said that she put her stake in her constituency home in a trust that she set up back in 2020 to manage funds for one of her sons who has lifelong disabilities. Now, as a result, he has those disabilities as a result of an injury. Now, she does have backing from the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, but opposition voices, including Kemi Badenoch, say that Rayner should be sacked, essentially, and said that, you know, if Keir Starmer had any spine, he would have sacked her already. So we'll see what happens there. And finally, the United States has approved $32.5 million in assistance to Nigeria to help address hunger. Now, the move is a rare shift in U.S. foreign policy since President Trump abruptly suspended most aid through USAID, and which is the U.S. Agency for International Development. Now, the funding will provide food assistance and nutritional support to internally displaced people in conflict-affected areas here in Nigeria. Now, the U.S. mission here said that the donation would provide food and nutritional assistance to 764,205 beneficiaries across Nigeria's northeast and northwest. So, those are your stories. Love to hear your thoughts before we move on to the papers.
I mean, that's one of the indications that the economy is stabilizing. We have a big hunger and poverty problem. So forget the propaganda the government tries to push. And you see, after they pulled out the USAID fund, they're beginning to see the gaping hole. See, I work with people in the NGOs. If you go to the northern part of this country and some parts of this country, and you see poverty and hunger that people have to be given nutritional supplements, there's a lot of work the likes of UNICEF does in this country. The American aid agencies and all of that. And you see, I'm sure somebody had to tip them and say, the situation is dire in Nigeria. You can't afford to leave Nigeria. So and that's why everybody's calling it a departure for what Trump has said before. Mm-hmm. See, there was a report that came out from the Minister of Health that the spend per capita on health is $120. Guess how much the Nigerian government spends? Just only $30 out of the $130. So the remaining $90 of health spend per capita is funded by NGOs and aid agencies. So it's pretty much NGOs and agencies that are running the country and are even cushioning the effect of poverty. This is an economy that is stabilizing. So when they bring the propaganda that things are getting better, economy is stabilizing, and NGOs pretty much running the country. Your health budget, a major part of it is NGOs that's running it. If they pull out dire straits, that's why the Americans are back here. The situation is even more dire. So a government that cannot effectively feed its people, we can't effectively bring our people out of poverty. And when we talk, I say, Shana statistics, we go shop. That's statistics for you. Over 700,000 beneficiaries, just one agencies. The American government alone. You've not factored what the Norwegian government and other governments are doing. As regards Angela Rayner, on paper it looks very bad for her. And at a time that the Labour Party is suffering of crisis of confidence, if it's proven by the, let's wait for the report of the independent investigation panel, but if it's proven, Angela Rayner might have to go. And my commiserations to those that lost their lives in Portugal, very sad one. You know, that structure had been there. You know, the floor has been there for many years, over 140 years. I mean, 140 years. And it happened at the peak season, you know, of tourists and all of that. So many people are there. It's just a very sad one. And that's why they have days of national mourning.
There we are. Well, thank you very much. Go ahead, Diane.
Well, I welcome the US aid to help to alleviate food and poverty, particularly in the north, but of course with very mixed feelings. And once USAID pulled its funding, we had said that we needed to then look for internal solutions to our problems. But of course, we were not anywhere near ready to deal with it. What I'm hoping for is that this will provide a buffer to what will then become a solution for us to look internally, because we did need that buffer. We would have been in a very dire situation if that hadn't come in. So it's great to see that happen, but I think more importantly is for us not to rest on our oars, to see how we can, internally, number one, tackle the issue of poverty and hunger in the north, and also very importantly for us as a continent beyond Nigeria's reach to see how we can be less dependent on aid, because we've seen what's happened in the last few months when unceremoniously the US pulled its majority of its aid in Africa. Now, going to the United Kingdom, it's a very dicey situation because it raises a lot of questions. What Rayner, that's the Deputy Prime Minister, is pushing is the personal side of things, and how, especially with her son and family life. In fact, she said that she never really wanted to discuss her personal life. It's very personal to her with her son, and the arrangement that she made in good faith as a parent to protect her son's and her family's interests. But that's why this has happened. So there's a personal slant to it, and perhaps that might just, sway people in her favor. A mother looking out for her son by putting her home, her family home, in her stake in the family home in trust to be able to provide for his needs. He's had the disabilities right from his childhood. It was actually caused by a premature birth, but she said she's never really liked to talk about it, and she feels uncomfortable that this situation has brought her out to speak about it. I think some important lessons to learn here is accountability. She's handed over herself or submitted herself to the ethics committee, not like she had a choice because of the strong institutions that we have in the United Kingdom. But it also shows what strong institutions means, that you hold public officers to account, and that's what's happening here. The second part of it would be whether information given or withheld to her tax advisors prompted the kind of advice that she was given. Because now she's putting the blame on the doorstep of the fact that, she was giving wrong advice, and now she's gone to better tax experts to advise her better. But if she didn't fully disclose all that she had to the tax advisors in the first place, then she might be found, complicit, despite her defense. But, we'll see how this happens, but a few things to learn there.
Okay, I was in Portugal once, Lisbon. My other life as chairman of the editorial board of The Guardian. I was invited to come and give a speech somewhere. So this thing they call the Global Funicular, it's a major transportation item in Lisbon. It links the downtown to the upper quarters of the city. So if you are in Lisbon, whether you like it or not, you will travel in it. One, tram, they call it in other places, will contain about 40 persons. Now, this is a major tragedy. 15 people died, 18 others were injured, including children. About 33 people were injured. And if you look, either died or were injured. And when you look at it, they said it was on high speed, and it ran into a building, and it collapsed like a cardboard box. The brakes failed. However, Caris, which is the company that runs that service, they say, well, they've been doing their checks, they've been on top of the situation weekly, monthly, yearly, and they didn't see anything that went wrong. But they want to conduct their own investigations. The criminal police is conducting investigation. The transportation agency department is also conducting investigations. We can only commiserate, with the government of, of the country and also the people on this tragic incident. That funicular has been running since the 19th century. And this is a major accident that occurs. You could say that accidents happen, but where lives are lost, we are all tied together in one humanity. Now, the other issue you brought up is about the U.S. Giving us $32.5 million, to support hunger aid in Nigeria. But it's not only Nigeria. Now, 200 days after the inauguration of President Trump's administration, Pigot, who was the spokesperson on this subject, this particular subject, said that the U.S. government, in celebration of 200 days in office, was going to give aid, hunger aid, to 13 countries. Nigeria was included in that list.
Yes.
Who are the other countries there? Haiti, Chad, Niger, Democratic Republic of Congo, Central African Republic. Those are the countries with whom we share the same company. Madagascar is also there. Sudan, South Sudan. Now, as a Nigerian, if you look at the list, you say, oh, Nigeria is now at the same level as Sudan, South Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, giving us food aid. It says something about where we are with regard to food security. Only the other day, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was talking about how his administration places a major priority on food security.
Yes.
Now we're in the mix of tacoism of Donald Trump. Trump always changes his mind, they say.
That's what they say.
And now here we are, Trump remembering us after withdrawing U.S. aid and say, oh, Nigeria, they are hungry in the northwest, in the northeast, because of, crisis in those parts of the country. Let us give them $32.5 million in food aid to be administered by the World Food Program.
Correct.
I think it's a comment on where we are with food security. Yes. I was saying, was it yesterday or 2 days earlier, that look, the president's classmate in an American university, the man from Belarus, yes, he supplied us tractors. Where are those tractors?
They haven't seen
the president himself said there are food centers, food security centers in geopolitical zones. Okay, we know Zamfara, Lagos, and Niger State. They are collaborating.
Yes.
Okay, where is the result? People are hungry. In fact, when I look at this table, no, you don't look hungry.
Dr. Bata,
no, you are looking well fed.
Just a little bit hungry.
No, we need to be fed.
We do.
Finally, on Angela Reyna.
Yes, please.
Okay, Angela Reyna herself has confessed.
Yes.
She has come forward to say, no, the error was based on legal advice. And it was her lawyers that advised her wrongly. However, she's willing, and she has told the tax authorities,
yes,
to say, calculate whatever I'm owing, I'm willing to pay. But, there's politics involved.
Yep.
Kestama is standing by her.
Yes.
He's even sitting by her in the House of Commons.
Yes.
But Badnock, your sister, says no.
Sister Titemi, my own sister.
She's your sister. She's a Nigerian.
Okay. I guess we're all family.
She's not Nigerian. She doesn't identify.
She's an Essex girl.
Yeah, she doesn't identify.
Okay, whatever she is.
So she's not our sister.
Okay, whatever she
Make
is.
everybody answer Papa name.
Okay, you people don't like Kemi Badnock.
I'm not.
Nobody said
She said
that.
she's an Essex girl.
What she
I'm an
said.
Odogolu boy.
Do you know why you guys are talking about
Essex
this?
girl.
Let's go to the
So,
papers.
please.
Anyway, no, I was just going to say
Okay.
that Kemi Badnock says her position is untenable, and she should resign. And that it's worse that she's even housing secretary and deputy prime minister. But she herself, that's Angela Reyna, has said, look, this should be investigated. The standards advisor, of the government should look into it because she meant no ill, and that in any case, she had a young man who has lifelong disabilities, to address. So we just leave it to them to handle, and we see how this plays out.
Exactly.
If she was a Nigerian minister, Our ethnic group will have risen in our defense.
campaigns.
Our church will have said, hey, you are victimizing her because she's from our region. But I hope that there are lessons that Nigerians can learn from this about standards, about ethics, about accountability and transparency.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for your wonderful submissions as always. Let's take a look at the front page of This Day. Now, This Day leads with President Tinubu's push for the establishment of state police as part of efforts to strengthen security across Nigeria. The president's declaration came as northern elders yesterday urged him to declare a state of emergency in the north, following protracted insecurity that has devastated the socio-economic life and development of that region. Now, on the topic of insecurity, the Department of State Services has arraigned 9 prime suspects, including a 75-year-old man linked to the killings in Benue and Plateau states. This Day also reports on the death toll in the Niger boat accident, which was incredibly unfortunate. It's reached at least 60 people, while thankfully, at least 50 people have been rescued. Now, staying in the region, the Daily Trust this morning has strong words from the governor of Zamfara state. He is vowing to end banditry in his state in 2 months. Now, his words on the front page of the paper say, and I quote, "I swear to Almighty Allah, wherever a bandit's leader is located within Zamfara state, I know it. And if he goes out, I know. With my mobile phone, I can show you where these bandits are today." Very strong words there. Very, very strong words there from the governor. Do we start counting from today, these 2 months? And if you know where they are?
But it's very, very... Please finish it. Let me
finish. We'll come back
it.
and chat, hopefully. Now, the New Telegraph leads with the Independent National Electoral Commission hinting that Nigerians may in future elections be able to vote from any location across the country. The Commission is considering the adoption of the National Identity Management Commission, the NIMC database as the foundation for future voters' registers. One of the political stories on the Leadership newspaper reports on the possibility of Rabiu Kwankwaso joining the ruling APC party. That's according to a representative of the NNPP. Meanwhile, The Punch reports that the APC and opposition parties are clashing over the federal government's revenue growth claims. That's as economists query President Tinubu's no more borrowing assertion amid Nigeria's 13 trillion naira debt. Now, the Nigerian Guardian reports on criticism from the African Democratic Congress, the opposition bloc, over the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu's plan to support the National Library completion as part of her birthday celebrations. They stress that the asset is a national monument and should not be reduced to charity. Very quickly, let's squeeze in an American paper. The USA Today reports that a federal judge has given Harvard University a win in its legal battle against the Trump administration ruling with the Ivy League school in its attempt to restore nearly $3 billion in federal funding frozen by the White House. Those are your papers.
No, so what I wanted to say importantly was the fact that, Ayo, in response to you, do you think that Governor Dauda, if he has such an information and he trusts the security force enough, he's not going to pass it on to them?
That's why I asked that. What's the gap?
That's the question.
State governors don't have powers to give command to security agencies.
There we go.
Section 214, 215 of the Constitution. I already made that point, and it is clear.
Understood.
The whole idea is how to empower state governors. That's the idea.
In the interim. Can he share the intelligence in the interim?
He won't
He
share
can.
it
If he shares it, he cannot control the authorities.
Why has he not shared
Well,
it?
thank you so much,
No,
Adefemi.
if he shares it, you know.
Let us share with you some more news. We will not hoard news.